And now we're moving to the other presentation. So Jonas, as Agla said, she's the senior researcher and strategist at our agency. And Jonas is a design strategy lead, who will tell you about a very complex and difficult topic, circularity in identity. So Jonas, the floor is yours, and tell us a little bit about the background that what is the place that you're in?
Yeah, sure, I will. So I'm saying hello from different context, different place, bringing you back to Lithuania, to Vilnius, and as you can see, behind me is the factory where they are producing those tiny campers. As you can see, one is almost done. This one is not yet. Here you can see the kitchen. And probably also able to hear some background sounds, which is kind of evidence that, no, it's not mock-up, it's the real thing. And the thing is that the tiny camper, which is the company, the factory I'm in, as you can see in the slide, they were creating modular system of inner layout, and they were creating it in pre-accelerator, in circular design pre-accelerator. And the thing is that we, as the agency, we were responsible of a few things in pre-accelerator, and one of those things was visual identity. So our task was to create and to implement the visual identity. So as you probably already kind of are able to guess, that circularity was the topic we were kind of pushed to dive in, because the identity, we were not able to create the simple identity, right? Because the pre-accelerator, the circular design pre-accelerator, kind of supposed to manifest the circularity, and identity should help to manifest circularity too. So I will walk you through our thoughts, all the logics we went through till the result. And of course, as you can see on the screen, right, the circularity was the topic we should dive in, and probably for some of you, I will remind, maybe for someone of you, this thing will be new, so I'm even more happy about it. But let's see, what circularity is, first of all. So as we all understand, right, everything, I mean, the products or even the services which are using products, they start from materials, and then some parts manufacturer comes into kind of doing their role, right? Then some product manufacturer, which is combining parts into some product, as we saw on my background, as we see on my background until now. Then, if we are talking about service, some service provider is coming to play his role, and after it, we are bringing the solution to user, right? User is using, and after usage, hopefully, right, we are collecting the result user is leaving for us. Hopefully, user is not throwing the product to trash bin, because the concept of circularity is to prevent this action, right? To throw things into the trash bin, and as some of you know probably, right? So the concept of circularity is to close the loops, and the first loop and the most kind of desired one is to prolong the usage of product, right? So to create good quality thing, so it would last long. And later on, I will talk also about the role of branding. how branding helps to prolong the usage. And if we are not able to prolong enough, so we are talking then about sharing things, right? So that's why we are talking about the service provider, because when we are sharing, for example, cars, we are using cars as a service. The third loop is talking about reusing the product. It might be that we are fixing it, we are changing some parts, and bringing back to the market in just as product or a service again. Then we do have the fourth loop, which is talking about refurbishing, when we are kind of separating the product into parts, and maybe using some parts in the third loop, or maybe just using in different contexts those parts, and then etc. And the last loop is recycling. So when we are taking materials and reusing materials, but as you see already in circular design, this fifth loop is less desirable. So we are talking, from very smallest to the largest, right? The smallest is most desirable. And when we are coming to visual identity, so what we try to do, first of all, to take the visual identity and to put it on this logic of circularity, on this frame of circularity, right? This particular I walked us through. So, what it would look like if we would talk about prolonging, visual identity. So, well, if we do have visual identity, we're prolonging, so it is circular approach, right? The thing is, we don't have an identity, so we don't have anything to prolong. It's our kind of problem. When we are talking about sharing, so maybe we can share identity with a few companies sharing the same identity, right? Well, you probably already able to hear that it even doesn't sound logic, right? Just for example, we do have some grocery store, we do have some car sharing company, and they are sharing the same identity, right? So in the minds of users, it would be kind of, well, inconsistent experience. And when we are talking about reusing, so maybe we are able to reuse some identity which was in use before and not now, and we can take it and reuse. The thing is that we need to find the identity which would fit our needs, 100%, just will fit. And this is a challenge, right? Maybe we can refurbish an identity. And again, when we are talking about refurbishing, so we are taking some parts from some identity from the past, right? And reusing some parts of it for our needs. And the last one, when we're talking about recycling, in the visual identity context, it seems like we already doing that by just looking into the Pinterest, for example, and by being kind of influenced by those other identities we are looking at. So by critically rethinking those approaches, we defined that probably the only one we can work with is refurbishing, right? Refurbishing identity. And we need to find a resource. So we called some design researcher from Lithuania, Karolina Jakaitė, and asked to find identities from the past, which is not in use anymore. And so we would be able to reuse those. And as you can see, those, for example, are logotypes from the 60s, and they kind of look now quite trendy, right? And from some Fish Union, Soviet furniture factory, and textile factory, and then various different contexts. But the thing is that it was not enough for us to have only the logo. We need the visual identity. So we asked Karolina to look for more, and she found some kind of evidences and then solutions of past visual identities with logos, with some those motifs they were using in visual identity as visual identity. And this is, for example, those examples are from one factory, textile factory. And and we were thinking, keeping in mind all that time Karolina needed to spend by looking for these resources, then it appeared that the relatives of the designer which created this, they are not willing to give it. They probably are willing to sell it. And then it is not digitalized, right? So we need to put some effort to make it kind of properly nowadays, so we would be able to work on it later. So as you can hear, it sounds like a lot of energy, right? A lot of time and energy to spend and get this proper result. And the conclusion was that it was fail, right? This way, by going through this approach of circular design, when we are creating tangible things and going into this intangible kind of context, it doesn't work proper. And then we raise the question: can the visual identity be sustainable? And the answer is yes. And I kind of can end my presentation, but probably I will proceed by just unveiling and revealing some insights and thoughts we came up with by working on this question. Because first of all, the sustainable identity, it is same but different. It's same identity as previous. So we still need to assess, whether we're creating a new brand or rebranding an existing one. We still need to work on organize the brand architecture. We still need to create those distinctive brand codes, so the brand would be recognizable and consistent. But in addition, we do have emotional aspect of the brand, and the emotional aspect of the brand is where the branding takes a huge responsibility in the context of circular economy, because the emotional bond with the product, it is a lot depends on the branding, and it's the responsibility of the brand, right? So to prolong the usage, so people would use it longer, as I showed before. And this is the logo of our social insurance company. So for Lithuanians, it probably works as an example, works better. So the brand ensures the kind of qualitative parameters of emotional relationship. Also, emotional bonding, as I mentioned, it reduces the risk of moral wear and tear, which is prolong the usage. And of course, emotional bonding increases the likelihood that consumer will take care about the product through all the life cycle and after the usage, right? So it will bring it somewhere, will help it to put into other loop. Then optimization. Of course, we need to think about simplifying and optimizing the brand codes. Maybe we don't need to have 100 of them, tens of them. Maybe it's enough to have one of them. Maybe, or not maybe, we are kind of pushed to think about the sustainable and circular technologies by using in identity. This eco font is very old, you probably already know, but it helps to reduce the ink by 20% in print production. So it already works for many years. And maybe still reusing existing resources might help in this context, not necessarily, as I showed before, by reusing all the identity or some particular paths, but for example, shooter stock, or it looks a bit different in this context, in circularity context, because we do have there a bunch of ready-made solutions we can adjust without spending energy. Then the communication part of the branding, it also takes responsibility to convince consumers that products and services are sustainable, and that sustainability is important because we're still in educational mode. Also, communication allows to provide information and fill gaps in the consumers' knowledge to help them understand the impact of their purchasing decisions. And but at the same time, the balance, how much we need to communicate about sustainability also exists, because if we would talk more than we are doing, it's already greenwashing. And we are not going to greenwashing in this presentation because it's a topic of communication. And as a result, is this is logotype, circle loop, and the Arial font is used here, and those symbols, letters, all the letters are from the glyphs of the font. We were not creating those, but still we do have in mind that we need to create a distinctive kind of logo. And I will reveal some aspects of the brand through the brand book. The thing we delivered. So for example, as I talked about the logo, so you are kind of able to type it, right? And the thing is that with this possibility, for example, on the website, the logo is rendered way faster than the image. So it's already some sustainable solution. For example, simplicity in creating hierarchy of the identity by reducing, as twice as less comparing to the previous font, and in the size helps to create this simple rule, which for a bunch of designers will turn into understanding faster the concept of identity. So we are spending less time and energy by trying to understand the concept of the brand with the intention of implementation, right? And as for example, the icons, so we are not creating icons from the scratch, we are reusing those. And if we're talking about the themes, because we had those, we are talking about the default settings in applications, in the programs. So we will not be pushed to go through all the tables and then adjust some, I don't know, some impression we don't need here. And as for images, we were trying or suggesting to use more black and white images because they weight less. And if we're talking about the printing production, you already understand this is one color comparing to 4 colors, right? So, and as the result, you can see the Circle Loop website, and you can go to look how it looks like as the website, because well, we had a bunch of other materials, but this is not the topic of this presentation. And I will end my presentation with the question of authenticity. And we are able to ask this question because of this experience we had and the result we have, and even experience by trying to register the logotype, because with the rules we do have now, by registering the logo, we were not able to register as an kind of authentic, creative piece. we were able to register it only as a word mark. So the thing is that, of course, we are not able to register it as an authentic piece of design, because it is not. And the question is, if we would talk about tens and thousands of identities which match circular needs, how to deal with those aspects. One of those, the major one, is authenticity. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonas. I want to ask one question. You constantly are talking about how, green, plastic, other keywords that are happening around sustainability theme, about circularity themes, are deviating the focus from where it has to be, where that focus, that concentration should be. My question is, where do you think that systemic change has to start for such projects to be implemented properly, and where that mindset has to be, has to begin with? What do you think through your experience?
I will ask a question for you by answering this question. Are we talking here about the product design? I mean, this tangible things, or are we talking about intangible things, about the visual communication design?
Let's start with tangible.
Well, so with tangible things, it's easier to answer the question because it's already even in the strategy of all. I think almost all the world has the goal to till 2050 to reach, or 60 to reach some kind of zero emission, right? Carbon emission. And one of the major approaches they intend to use, for example, European Union is taking the circular economy as the basis, constructs how to reach this goal, because there is no other way how to do it. And we already experiencing this now, by all the, how to say, regulations and the solutions from the business pushing us as users to have some experiences we didn't have before. And as consumers, we also kind of demanding for some solutions, right? But if we're talking about the visual communication design, so as hopefully this presentation showed, we kind of in the gray zone. And even if we're talking about the research material, right, from researchers. So there is only few in the world where this question is, where we're trying to dive into it deeper. So, we are still in the fog looking for the answer, and no, of course I will not give you one now, right? Let's go together to the fog.
And another maybe a bit, probably a follow-up for this project. Approximately how much time has it been that you're with this project? Because probably these kind of projects, it could seem that it's one or two solutions quickly done because it's, copied and recopied. So how much time you had to spend on this project, let's say?
Yeah, well, me personally, so I spent 3 years, but it's not only on visual identity, right? So it's all the pre-accelerator, because I was one of the kind of team members who were dealing with the content, with the branding, with the pre-accelerator. But I think, 3 years is also the number, if we're talking about even this summarization I'm bringing today, right? Because it takes time to understand the concept and to work with, some adjustments in the brain, so to change some thinking patterns, how to deal with the issue, with the challenges, right? Through the creative process until some result.